I would not recommend going to Delhi.
Okay. Scratch
no,
that off.
because Delhi is also a great cultural vibe, but the people sometimes are very, and especially because you're black, I'm gonna tell you there are racists over there who are very much in your face. Like I'm not even gonna lie. There's my black friend from America had come down. He was from Brooklyn, and he was visiting Mumbai, and he's queer, so he was like, "What are the queer hotspots?" So I took him to like a bar and everything, and this is in the most uppity part of Mumbai, right, where all the influential and affluent people come and drink. So we're having a smoke in the balcony, and there's a song in India, and pardon my words, but in India, nigahe means eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the eyesight.
Okay.
So the song has the word nigaho mein. So
Yeah.
he was saying that verbatim on purpose because there was a black guy and they could say the N word without saying the N word because of the Indian word.
Oh, they try to do that shit?
My blood was just like curdling, not even boiling. It was just like, I'm like, bro, like, and the girl next to him was like, she was pinching, like, shut the fuck up, don't do this. You know, so that also happens, you know.
If you're a black Indian, stop whatever you're doing. This video is for you. Now, we know that India is the most racist country on earth. If you just read on Google the most racist country, it's going to be India and Philippines. In fact, if you look around India, they sell all types of skin bleaching creams. Because in India, the more lighter your skin looks, the more privileges you can get in Bollywood, in movies, in, I don't know, cricket, whatever it is. And this has left out all black Indians because their story has not been heard. They're not in Bollywood, they're not in whatever, you can name it. And the outside world doesn't know that there is a lot of racism towards black Indians or the dark-skinned Indians. Black-skinned Indians, listen to this. In USA, when black people were being discriminated and segregated by the whites, they complained until when they gave up. So what they did is they started black franchise. That is black football teams, black churches, black schools, black TV stations, black radio stations, all black everything. And as I speak right now, the black culture is the most embraced culture around the world. Look at Kevin Durant, look at Kevin Hart, look at Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rihanna, I don't know, David James, I don't know all these, you know, these celebrities all over the, you know, they're embraced and loved all over the world. Why? Because they got a chance to tell their own story. So you black Indians or the dark-skinned Indians, this is exactly what you have to do. Start your own franchise. Your whatever, schools, I don't know, cricket. India is good in cricket. Start your own TV stations. Go in Bollywood and tell your own story in your own way. The world will embrace you. The world would accept you. Remember, racists are privileged. When people are privileged, they stop learning. They don't know what's happening because they only think about the privileges. Now, you who is a victim, you learn and you make yourself better. But the so-called racist and, you know, privileged people, they don't learn because they already have privilege. They don't know what's happening. A few years later, they start complaining. You see that in US right now as I speak. They complain about all kinds of black people, whatever, black people this, black people that. So make sure you tell your story in movies, in Bollywood, I don't know, I don't care what. And a few years later, the world is going to know that they're black Indians in India and they are loved and they're cared for.
Very few of us are aware that people of African origin have been living in India for centuries. There are a number of documentaries out there by the BBC, Al Jazeera, and others which have tried to draw attention to the current plight of these remarkable African diasporas. Unfortunately, most of these accounts only mention that they had arrived in what we now know as India as slaves. They also dwell on their present deplorable situation without proper reference to their glorious past and their role in the emergence of present-day India and even Pakistan.
See, I am here. This is what I'm talking about. Do you see any diversity, any color? None.
He is mixed. Half Indian, half black. Yes, I'm black.
black. And
I don't understand. Worms, like worms, small worms in the... Worms in my hair?
yeah.
No, there is not worms in your hair. No, I don't know what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay, just relax. I like, you look good in this.
You go inside the washroom and changi tarah bathing.
No, wait. My brother is also having curly hairs.
Don't.
That's easy. You're chilling out. I'm confused. I don't know. He's saying worms in my hair? No. He says
Looking
in
very
India.
nice.
Looking
Handsome.
very nice. Handsome.
Different.
Different from. Can I enjoy my meal? In Somalia.
Yeah, why not?
Enjoy my meal. Sorry. You're Negro? I'm a what? Negro means Negro peoples in the African, we call them Negro peoples. You know, in Americans they are the Britishers. A Negro. Yeah, Negro, good peoples and strong peoples. You know. I'll give you one advice. Yes.
Jinga lala hoo.
If you ever say Negro to an African person, they will punch you in the face. So this is not good. Negro is not good word. I think so. I don't go to. It's okay. I'm just letting you know. For me, I'll educate you.
You educate, yes.
The next person, they might not.
Okay, this is not good word. Okay.
These racist Indians, them and Latinos are the very same way. They view black people the same way. They all tell their family and their friends not to associate with black people, not to date black people. They all dislike dark skin and kinky hair. The way how they think is exactly the same. They just speak a different language, but they're basically the same people, Latinos, Indians, and Arabs. But they all view black people the same. But the thing with the Indians is that they complain about white people being racist to them. They complain about other groups being racist to them, and they cannot complain because they are racist to black people.
I find it really hypocritical how Indians and South Asians will talk about prejudice they experience by white people and then turn around and take that same discriminatory energy and use it against black people. I know it happens. I grew up hearing it. So let's talk about how you are so eager to fit in that you would rather appease those who oppress you than support other oppressed groups. You know what that smells like? Desperation for acceptance. And the sad part is, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work to blend in, you will still be seen as an other.
I want to say, my brother, you're absolutely right, okay? I actually grew up in London, born and bred. I come from the British Bangladeshi community, pockets of which are so disgusting racist. I think part of the problem is because of colonialism in the South Indian subcontinent. What we now know as Pakistan, Bangladesh and India. When I go to Bangladesh, the constant sniping, the obsession with looking for light-skinned girls. In fact, even when I was growing up, and I've just done a video on my timeline about this, all they're obsessed about is your dark skin and whether or not, if you have babies, you'll pass on that gene to your children. So it's deeply racist. South Asian communities do need to talk about it, and it might explain why we don't see many of our girls or even boys going out with black folks. Yeah, it's wrong, it's disgusting, and it needs to be stamped out. But I will now want to talk about racism towards black Muslims.
Hey babes, I'm about to say something and it may offend some, but so be it, you know. So I was receiving some comments, racist comments of course, of people saying, look, explain why your people are so stinky, explain why Indians have the worst BO, your people are so unhygienic, explain. And my response to that is some of you will literally walk around your homes, your living spaces, with your outdoor shoes on all day. Some of you will wipe your doo-doo ass with just toilet paper and call it a day and claim that you're clean. Some of you will make out with your dogs. Some of you do not wash your legs or the bottom of your feet. Some of you think that being in the pool in the summertime counts as a bath, which no, it does not. And you want to come talk to me about hygiene? The jokes write themselves.
Excuse me, मैं क्यों shut up? तू shut up, तेरी माँ shut up, तेरा प्यो shut up, तेरा सारा खानदान shut up. Shut up.
It is more difficult for a South African born black person to call me black in America than what it is for an American born black person to call me black. Because technically in South Africa I'm colored, but in America they refer to colored people as black people. But South African born black people find it harder to refer to colored people in America as black. It makes sense. It makes sense if you're South African. It makes total sense. But if you're not, you won't understand. But yeah, let that sink in. Because we're all going around about like, oh, Black History Month. And I'm like, yeah, Black History Month, whoop whoop. And they're just giving me a look like side eye. And I'm like,
when I said anti-blackness was rife within the South Asian communities, that was an objective truth. It's not a debate. If anything, the comments under my last post prove that. I'm really confused as to what people are not understanding about my last video. So this is a direct question to the South Asian Desi viewers of my last video. Do you deny that anti-blackness exists within our cultures? Do you deny that it's a huge problem within our community? I'm really confused as to how every single person missed the point. So let's go back to basics and address the whole it wasn't about race, stop bringing race into it. Our actions and reactions don't exist in a vacuum. Context always matters. And for that matter, racism doesn't always have to be overt and explicit. It can be subconscious. You don't always need someone to directly use a slur at you to know that they were being racist. In my video, I was highlighting the reactions that I've seen from the South Asian community and how I personally view it as evidence of their prejudice and anti-blackness. The lack of empathy for black women, the dehumanization of black women in our cultures and society, present systemically within our country, in our institutions, is not simply going to go away because someone wasn't overt with their racism, or because you as an individual thought that race doesn't matter in this particular case, or because you feel like people are bringing race into it. People harbor these prejudices, this bigotry, this anti-blackness, and it guides their way of life. It guides their actions and their reactions. So whether or not someone holds their hand up and explicitly refers to race, it doesn't mean that the racial context doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the actions or reactions weren't racialized in nature. This was a very specific case of misogynoir, and I would encourage people to look into what that actually means. That intersectionality is really important to understanding why people are so upset at what has gone on. And finally, just stop denying the experiences of black people. You've seen huge parts of the community react to this in a very negative way, and instead of denying their experiences, I think it's just important to hear them out and listen to what they have to say.
So that makes it okay, and people who know better should inflict the same cycles of behaviour. What? I've literally seen black people be racist to Indians too. But that don't mean I'm going to sit here and say it's okay when Indians are racist back to black people. And I'm not denying that some people can be racist in every culture. But I'm not talking about ignorant people here. I'm talking about those of us who know better. I'm talking about the same people who want to scream racism but continue to remain ignorant. In the context of what I'm speaking about, and to the level of this racism, no argument can justify it. These are innocent people making food and just doing their bit in their country, trying to earn a living. And people in the comments are using it as an excuse to be racist. And this comment just backs all of that up. I think it's sad that black and brown people experience so much racism and then decide to point fingers at each other. But I'm not here to get into that. My point was that every single one of those videos have millions of views and hundreds and thousands of comments, of which most of them are racist towards Indian people. And no matter what anyone says, that racism cannot be justified.
I don't like Indian people. They stink of curry. I hope you're not Indian. Yes, we smell of the same curry that makes your butter chicken, chicken tikka masala, your tandoori chicken, and even the spices in your chai tea latte. It's funny how my culture's scent bothers you, but the flavors don't. And I understand if our spices are too much for you. Then just enjoy your spices, salt, pepper, ketchup, and mayo. I mean, if it really smells so bad, why don't you stick to your bland food?
Excuse me, मैं क्यों shut up? तुम shut up, तेरी माँ shut up, तेरा प्यो shut up, तेरा सारा खानदान shut up. Shut up.
Indian female is very racist. Sometimes she's as black as Wesley Snipes, but she still don't want to date black guys who's the same color as her. So that means she's only racist towards a black guy because of his race, because they got the same skin color. They both brown skin or dark skin. So she only hate black people because of their race. But she'll date a racist Latino guy, a racist Arab guy, or even a white guy, but not a black one. But you can set up your businesses in black communities and take black people money. That's not going to last very long. Trust me, that's not going to last very long. And as soon as black people make their mind up to start treating you guys the way you treat them and start being racist back to you, Latinos, Indians, and Arabs. As soon as black people start being racist back to you, a lot of things going to change. A lot of things going to change. And we hope you can handle it. When black people start being racist back to you racist Indians, you racist Latinos, we hope you can handle it. Because you've been racist to black people for the last 60 years.
As a dark-skinned black woman, I've gotten the bombastic side eye from pretty much every race, including black people sometimes. But the point is that sometimes I feel extra attacked by people from India. And I hate to say it this way, but if you know anything about Indian culture and government, there's a caste system. And the caste system deems darker-skinned Indians and black Indians as inferior to the whiter Indians because of, British imperialism, colonialism. Like, the British really did India dirty. And I'm not saying every Indian is like this, because there are really beautiful Indian people who know that they have African heritage. Like, the farther south you go in India, you'll see people that look like me. The Solomon Islands, the Andaman Islands, like, those are all black people. Sri Lanka, like, even some parts of North India, like, it is what it is.
A new Kanye video? No.
We're not black. How about that? We're not black. We're Indian.
What are you looking at?
Ning! Oh, hello.
Yo, what are you wearing, bro?
This is your people's uniform.
Man, you really think my people really wear that?
Your uncle does.
Man.
This guy's preying on my downfall. This guy's preying on my downfall.
Oh, you're not black. You're an Indian.
But Kanye said black people are Indian. Punjabi
Wait, you're actually black?
My mother told me and my siblings when we were young kids, before I remember it was when my older brother started secondary school. It was a big deal, my older brother going off to the big boy school. And my mum sat us down. She said, if you're ever in trouble out there in the real world, look for a black woman. My mum said this. My mum was raised in this country from the age of 6, the UK. She said, look for a black woman. She said, anywhere in the world, a black woman will help you. She was never wrong. But, it's incredible that my mother said that. And I don't know what my mum went through. But I remember seeing photos of my mum in school when she was in high school and stuff. And, she had loads of black friends and stuff. And they were all black women. Because my mum wasn't a pick-me. She only had female friends. And so she obviously felt some protection. And growing up for me, I noticed in my school, it was a very predominantly white school. The black teachers looked out for me. I had a black Jamaican teacher called Mrs. Forrester. She looked out for me. But even outside of school, when I started growing out my hair, it was a black woman that taught me how to look after my curls, what products to use. It was
Dear black women, if you are trying to get validation from the people who are oppressing you, you are wasting your time. Every day on TikTok, black women are called aggressive, angry, bitter, strong, masculine. And now, I have nothing against this content creator, but I think it's very, it's ironic that when it's convenient for you, you are now telling that if your child is in danger, you have to look for a black woman. And this content creator is not the first who say that on TikTok. I have even heard white women saying the same, that, oh, if my child is in danger, he or she has to seek and look for a black woman. I'm trying to understand. Why would you want your child to get protected or to receive any type of help from a black woman, knowing that she is aggressive, she's angry, she's bitter, she is masculine. White women are supposed to be soft, feminine, and they have all the characteristics of the perfect, the ideal women. The real question is, why? Why you rather get protection from a black woman who is always angry, who is always aggressive, instead of having a white woman? White women are full of love. Why would you seek protection from a black woman who is aggressive and not from a white woman who is supposed to be loving and caring and nurturing? I'm intrigued.
We spoke about who are the worst employers in South Africa, and it's not white people. We both kind of agreed. People in the comments agreed. And I thought, let me run this poll, because clearly we need to hear more voices. The other thing that inspired the poll is that I was approached by a social activist in the Durban area. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to give him that type of spotlight. But he was like, look, that clip that you and Nota did, it's trending on TikTok and it comes across as racist. Why would you guys think that Indians are the worst employers? So I ran the poll to kind of be like, look, this is what people said. You're right. We were wrong. But overwhelmingly, Indian employers and managers are deemed the worst in South Africa, with Indians being a minority of about 2 to 3% of the population. White people are about 8-9% of the population. And then, of course, you've got black people at like 80%. If I criticize harshly black people, which I do all the time, if I criticize white people harshly, like the rest of us, all the time, we may speak about the coloreds and their violence and the drugs and the gangs. Why should you guys be absolved if there's something that we feel you could improve on? What makes you guys high and mighty that you're not meant to be brought to the table to have the tough conversations? So, Note and I sat and spoke. It was in conversation. It triggered something. I ran a poll. I think 10,300 votes later, you realize that this is actually a thing and the conversation needs to be had. And if people don't want to have the conversations, we go back to apartheid, where certain people don't want to be called out for whatever wrong that people complain about. The number of people in the comments saying that they had to quit their jobs, that they'd rather be unemployed than have an Indian manager. In particular, and I apologize to this company, please don't sue me. Oh, let me not mention the company. There's a huge call center. I know you guys will probably mention it in the comments. There's a huge call center in Mhlanga. And the amount of corporate abuse I've heard in that space has been atrocious. Call centers themselves are just like mini jails. I've had an Indian manager. We had some really rough moments together. I was kind of sad because I was like, I hope you're not playing into the stereotype. But she was also, woman, she was also pretty amazing. She used to cook for us and all those things in our team. But it gave me a snapshot, because I hear in Durban it's rough. It's rough. But let's have the conversation. It's very, very important.
Hi friends, I hadn't planned on making another video right now, but Indian people are coming for me in my comments. And, so I know I'm on the right track with what I'm saying. But what I want to talk about in this specific video is Indian people and anti-Black racism specifically. So whether this is within the country of India, or whether this is when Indian people immigrate to any part of the world, whether it be on the African continent, in North America, South America, wherever, Indian people have And again, I'm not saying every single Indian person, but I'm talking about Indian people generally, our society, our culture, the belief systems that Indian people hold, etc. Indian people are extremely, extremely racist, especially towards black people. And if you take a black person who has been around Indian people for any period of time, black people pick up on this. It's something that is, this is not a secret. Whether you're talking to, say African students who study in India, which there are African students who are there, or whether you're talking about, say, Kenyans. There's a large population of Kenya that are Indian people that have immigrated to that country, or South Africa, or Canada, or, the United States, whatever. But black people pick up on Indian people's racism because it is quite apparent. It's something that that is there.
Yes, Indian racism is there, and it's noticeable.
It's obvious. So I'm just going to give you an example of me, my family, and the Indian people in South Africa. When I grew up there, I spent the first 12 years of my life under apartheid. So we had servants, maids, cooks, gardeners, etc. And all of these people were Africans. They were black people. And all of the Indians in South Africa had servants. Okay, they were all black. Now, how were these servants treated? They were treated as subhuman. They were not considered to be human beings with feelings. They drank out of different cups. So Indian people would not share their table with the servants, who were an integral part of their household. They took care of their children. They drove them everywhere. They cooked for them. But they had to eat off of separate dishes. They could not sit on the furniture. They, say for example, when we left our home and we traveled, so we lived in Pietermaritzburg, we traveled to Durban on the weekends, holidays, whatever. Our maid would come with us. She was not allowed to sleep on or sit on our furniture or sleep on our furniture, so she had to sleep on the floor. These are things that all Indian people did in South Africa. And now I'm just talking about South Africa. I'm not talking about, say, when Indian people immigrate to other countries. But this is true even in first-generation Indians. Because, say, if an Indian person had to marry a black person, 9 times out of 10, that Indian person's family is going to completely disown the Indian person who married a black person. Now, Indian people generally, they want Indian people to marry within their, they want Indian people to marry other Indian people, and then they even go into they want, the same caste, and they even have subcastes and all of this stuff. So, but if an Indian person marries a white person, or say an Asian person, it's not considered to be as heinous of an act as if an Indian person married a black person. So this can be tied to the caste system because, like I mentioned in my previous video, Indian people are racist towards other Indian people. And some of this is based on skin color.
A lot of the Indian racism is based on skin color. Okay, because they view darker skinned people as not successful, without wealth, bad as far as crimes and violence and poverty.
It's not entirely based on skin color, but there is a factor that is, that is apparent in that. So Ava DuVernay made a movie called Origin, and it's based on Isabel Wilkerson's book Caste, which somebody just pointed out. And it's very difficult for me to talk about these very heavy topics in 10 minutes. So I can't cover everything. But Indian people are inherently racist as a culture and as a society. And then within that racism, there is a hierarchy. So yes, while an Indian society might be racist towards Western people, Western culture, white people, etc. Just like Vivek Ramaswamy making that comment about how, he made all these disparaging comments about, Americans. And he was talking about white Americans, how they're not as smart and blah, blah, blah. These are not uncommon things that Indian people say within themselves. I have been privy to these conversations in whether it's, say a friend situation or families or extended families or just in my Indian community. These are very common beliefs that most all Indian people will espouse. They will say things like, well, white people have no culture. Their food is horrible. They just go on and on and on. But when it comes to Black people specifically, Indian people have extremely racist views about Black people. And it doesn't matter how nice this Black person is, how educated they might be. None of those things matter. And that's why I say that a lot of Indian people, they align themselves with a very far right-wing kind of Trump ideology. So you might take somebody from, say, America, who is a Trumpster, and they espouse all these very racist views. And you could take an Indian person, and in many respects, those views are going to align because Indian people generally tend to hold very racist views. It goes back to the caste system, yes, but it also ties into other aspects because, as I pointed out before, there are the so-called untouchables in India, and Indian people are racist towards them as well. So this is all a very, these are complicated things, and I'm just trying to do my best to share these ideas because we are in terrible times right now in the United States and in the world generally. So I guess Indian people, if you guys want to come for me, come for me. I am not saying anything that's untrue. This is the truth, and I think it's kind of an open secret.
Indian lady gets disowned by her family for dating Black men. As we all know, the Indian culture in general is anti-Black. So whenever a female from an Indian family is interested in a Black guy, it's prohibited. The family doesn't want it. The community don't want it. So therefore, that female, she faces pushback from her family and the community. And she most likely will be disowned or not dealt with.
When you date a Black guy and you're disowned by your family, stick around. I will start the story. I may not finish it in one go, but I'll start the story. So this happened when I was in Canada. I had recently migrated from India in my teenage years, and I had gone to undergrad and met somebody who was doing chemistry honors. I was doing biochemistry honors, and I mentioned that to say that because of the subject matters, we overlapped and we ran in some same circles, and then we started dating. Prior to this point, I was dating somebody else that my family didn't approve of. I gave up that relationship because of my family, because my family approval was important. By the time I met Garnett, I was like, no, I got to do my own thing. I can't just go for family. I got to do my own thing. So when I met Garnett and we started talking about this, telling my family and all, I went back and forth, and then I finally said, no, I'm going to tell my family. And the reason I did this is because at that time, and even now, a lot of South Asian kids, especially women, girls, South Asian girls, will hide from their parents. the life they want to actually lead. So if they're dating, going out, or doing whatever, a lot of times they don't have parental permission for that, and they will hide, and we would live dual lives, basically. I was tired of that. I wasn't doing anything wrong, so I just wanted to share. When I did share, I was given an ultimatum, and the ultimatum was, it's either the black man that I was dating, it's either you want to show everybody that is your person, or the family, who matters more to you. That was the ultimatum I was given. Stick around, I will tell you in the next part. Talk to you soon. Okay, part 2. What happened when I got disowned by my family for dating a black man. Part 1 is a couple of videos over. You take a look. Just to recap, my family gave me an ultimatum when I was in my late teens, early 20s, that it's either dating a black man or them, and I was dating a black man at that time. So,
you know, and this is why, even if an Indian lady or female is interested in dating black guys, they really can't.
I chose not the guy or the family, I chose myself. What I mean by that is I chose to make my own decision. I didn't want to be stuck between this or that. I wanted to choose me and my own ability to make my own decisions, live my own life the way I wanted to. And if that's a mistake, I'm willing to learn from my mistake, but I'm not willing to stop living my life for me and only live for them. Because what the consequence was for this was that if I chose them, that meant that I was teaching them that this is okay with me. So anytime I could bring a person into my life, you know, my agency, my decision, my feelings wouldn't matter until I got their approval. That means that if I don't get their approval, I don't get to have a choice that I would want to make for myself. That was not okay with me. I said, all right, bet, I choose myself. I am not going to choose you or the man, although I wasn't going to break up with Garnett, but I wasn't going to just shift from one person to the next person to be financially dependent on. So I said, I choose me. And this was when I got kicked out of the house. The day that I was getting kicked out, I was told I can take only one suitcase. And when I was filling the suitcase up with things, my family took out things they gifted me because they said I didn't deserve it. Just clothes. I didn't have a laptop at that time, and that's it. And Garnett was very kind. He was there to help me. Community members were brought in to tell me that I was wrong, I was disrespectful, I was bringing shame to the family, all of those. I was bawling. I genuinely didn't know how to even respond to all of this. Everything I've known, I'm going to have to give up because I'm just choosing to make my own decision. There is a difference in our decision. This is a different decision, but that is what I was deserving of, according to them, is a complete disconnection. It's super hard. I became homeless at that point. Garnett was very kind and said, you know, come stay with me. But I didn't want to be moving from being financially dependent on my family to financially dependent on my boyfriend. I just said, no, I'm going to make it on my own. So I ended up staying at a homeless shelter. Garnett was with me all through it, of course. Didn't like it. He really just wanted me to stay with him. I understood that, but I really needed to just do that for myself, to see like if I can survive in this world by myself, so that no one ever could hold, you know, financial dependency on me to force me to do things I didn't want to do. Stay tuned. Part 3 is coming up next.
Yes. Indians are considered brown, and if you have African descent, you're considered black, but it's all just a social construct, and it's just to create hierarchy and division. I just always wonder, like, what a beautiful world this would have been had the Caucasoid race not created fucking race. And it was all just to maintain supremacy.
So I've seen people in my comment section saying that Indian people are racist to dark-skinned Indians. That is not racism, that is colorism, and it is a problem in our community. I'd also like to say, like, people that's comparing us to the people in Z-World, please don't. We are nothing like that. We watch that as entertainment too, because it's so ridiculous. It's so dramatic. And South African Indians are not like that. That's crazy.
Where are you from?
So we're from India.
How long have you been in America?
9 months.
What is the craziest thing you've seen in America, or the thing that surprised you the most about America in your first 9 months that you've been here?
If you make a small mistake and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry about it. It's like, oh, no worries. It's all right. It's all good.
What is something about America that you like the most?
I think it's a really big place to like look out for opportunities.
Are you guys going to go back?
Not really right now. We're looking for jobs right now.
Talk about the amount of racism that most Indian people have towards black people.
You can just hear the desperate confusion in my brother's voice because it makes no sense. Think about it. You've got 54 countries that comprise Africa. Then you've got India, which is a part of this larger scale, historically, culturally, linguistically connected area that we consider South Asia. And factually speaking, there is this observable phenomenon of this anti-black, anti-African sentiment within South Asia and within its diaspora abroad. You don't even have to think that deep to see that it makes zero fucking sense, bro. Watch this. Both regions have suffered a very similar colonial past under the same colonial powers. Both of us are living a very similar colonial present. Over the course of ancient and modern history, there's been so much cultural and economic trade between us. And not to mention, African civilizations have been harboring and giving space for Indians and other Asians to live on their lands.
You heard everything he said, right? How blacks and Indians, right, are similar. They both been colonized, racism, this and that, Indians living on black land, all this stuff. If you know all of these things that he just said, why are you Indians still participating in the discrimination against black people when you know it's wrong? You know it's morally wrong, and you know all this information about history. So shouldn't that make you stop discriminating against black people if you know all this stuff that happened in the past? That's not right.
Since pre-colonial times, I'm not talking about colonial powers taking indentured laborers over there. We have evidence of like shipwrecks of slave ships and Asians and Indians washing up on African shores and staying there ever since. Make it make sense, right? How can South Asians be so uncultured and not recognize these things? Especially NRIs and other South Asian groups. I don't care how many generations you've been living there, but living there and still holding anti-black, anti-African, this like Indian superiority, African inferiority complex. How dare you? How? And to top it all off, Dravidians, my people, how can we be this way, knowing full well that we are considered in the same category of blackness in our own country? If you've ever been called Kalu, Karupu, Koranga, Jungli, Blackie, you know those are the exact same slurs that are used against Africans. In 2017, there was a case of racially motivated assaults against African university students in New Delhi. And here's what this motherfucker had to say about it, right? This is Tarun Vijay, by the way. He used to be a member of the Indian parliament, part of the BJP party. If you know, you know. Okay, here's what he had to say about those attacks to Al Jazeera in an interview. All right, so trying to make the case that Indians can't be racist, he says, if we were racist, why would the entire South, the Tamils, Kerala, Karnataka, and Andhra, why do we live with them? We have black people around us. I don't know what the fuck this bozo was going for. It looks like he was trying to humanize black people somehow, but it just ended up dehumanizing us alongside of them. So like, solidarity, I guess. I wish. If you don't know, phenotypically speaking, just how black Dravidian people can get, because you're looking at me, I don't get enough sun, you haven't seen me in the summertime. Here are some pictures. This is my uncle, my actual uncle, my mom's youngest brother. This is my other uncle. Here's my cousin, the one on the right with his nanba. Well, you can look at both of them for an example. Saving the best for last, here's my dad with me as a baby when he used to have hair. And he used to grow that out much thicker. It used to be a full-on afro. He and my mom met and married in Oman, where I was born, and when they were dating, people used to ask my mom all the time, I've asked my dad, how does that make you feel? And he was like, no offense taken, because Sudanese people are beautiful, East Africans are beautiful, and I take that one step further, Africans are beautiful, and no one can be you, and that's why they want control of your bodies. So to continue with the question, if it makes no sense, why is there this anti-African sentiment in our South Asian community? So I asked myself this question, I have no idea where to start to find answers, so I just went to Google and I typed in, why are Indians racist to black people? I did that this morning after seeing the TikTok that I'm stitching, and I found this interview. It's called Africa Holds Up a Mirror to India. It's an interview with Shobana Shankar. She's an associate professor at Stony Brook University in African Studies, and she's being interviewed by Zachariah Mampili. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name, I'm not sure. He is a PhD, also a professor at the City University of New York, and also in African Studies. I don't know if I said that already. Oh, and here you go. There's that quote by Tarun Vijay. I urge you to read through this interview in its entirety, but as you can see, a lot of it, especially in the beginning, is focused on Shobana's book, as it says there. It is called An Uneasy Embrace, Africa, India, and the Spectre of Race. I got this book this morning. I finished it in about 5-6 hours because it is an academic book, but man, is it an easy read. It's got citations, it's got references, and yeah, get this book. €12 is what I paid for it to get the ebook. 20 if you get it in paperback. It's a very small price to pay to get your head in the right space to really do the work and undo the mess that we're in. And here are the two biggest takeaways that I got from this book as like the biggest answers that I had for my question, right? First biggest takeaway of mine from this was when I learned about the sheer amount of work that has been done and is still being done today by Afrocentrist intellectuals to expand the theoretical framework of blackness in order to include Dravidian people specifically in it, and that way we can fight together against Indo-pessimism and Afro-pessimism together, which I thought was amazing. A lot of that work was pioneered by the first president of Senegal. His name was Léopold Senghor, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. He did extensive research on this. Unfortunately, it did seem to me that it was very one-sided, like it was a lot of work being done by Africans and very few South Asian or Dravidian collaborators in that. And it doesn't even matter if we're, like, if there's no data that supports that we come from Africans, because for the time being there isn't. Just the spiritual concept of that work, of that effort really spoke to me. My second biggest takeaway from this book, and I'll leave you with this, it comes right from the last page of the book. I don't mind giving this away because I think it's super valuable. Shobhana Shankar goes ahead and says that Indian anti-blackness is a myth. And it's kind of like, whoa, wait a second. You just spent like 200 and something pages saying that this is a real thing and that we need to work against it. There's been work being done against it and all that, right? How can you say it's a myth? If I'm understanding her correctly, and I hope to God that I am, what she's trying to say is that anti-blackness is not an Indian thing. It's not something that is inherent to the South Asian community. We've learned it from someone, somewhere outside of ourselves. Gee, I wonder who. Professor Shankar goes on to talk about a slew of other things like Hinduism in Africa, the specifically South African problem with Indians, and yeah, just a bunch of other stuff. So please get this book, read it, talk about it in your families. Let's get this in our community. We got to get this in the African community as well. We have a lot of post-colonial chains to break. We specifically are hurting the wrong people. We're hurting ourselves. And yeah, let's work.
I don't think y'all understand. Some of y'all parents would genuinely turn down your significant other if they're darker than you.
Itni kali hai. Last time I said this, the internet came after me. Even though there are hundreds, actually thousands of women who can relate to that. And for those arguing colorism doesn't exist in India, just because you have never experienced doesn't mean the problem doesn't exist. Even though right now my skin color may be lighter, when I lived in India, that was my reality. And for those worried about me doing makeup, my foundation exactly matches my skin color. I'm not wearing a foundation to make myself lighter. And beauty, my friends, has the wings to fly free.
Hi friends, let me start by saying it's India, so there's gonna be background noise. I'm gonna tell you about one experience of colorism while I've been here. So we threw an 80th birthday party for my grandma. Classic Indian family fashion, we invited like 2 million people. That's so cultural for us. And in all honesty, my immediate family was there, but there was also a bunch of people who to me are pretty much randos, but they claim to be in some way distantly related to me. So of course I was being polite and saying hello to everyone, and these ladies come up to me. They're definitely like my grandma's age, older, and there's a group of like 6 of them. And they say, "Oh, is that you, Karishma? We haven't seen you in like 10 years. And I have no idea who they are, but I'm obviously going to be polite. So I was like, "Oh, it's nice to see you." And they say, this is what they say in Hindi, "Nain naak to iski sundar hai, lekin iska rang to thoda..." And Hindi is my first language, so I 100% understand what these women are saying. In English, that means she has nice features, but her color is a little, And they're commenting on my body and my skin color to each other as if I'm not even standing there. And you know, I was shocked, but this is so normal in India for people to comment on your body right in front of you, and it be your own people.
Colorism is a big part of Indian culture. The lighter you are, the better you are treated. It's like you being light-skinned is like a prize. Like everyone likes you when you light-skinned. They do favors for you and they treat you better. And that all goes back to what I said. If you know it's wrong to participate in colorism, stop doing it. Treat everybody the same. The dark skin and the light skin.
It's women. And some of these women are just as dark or darker than me. How much do you have to hate yourself to say that about somebody else? Then at the same party, on a separate occasion, another group of these kind of rando people that claim to be related to me, again, they say, we haven't seen you in years. And they say, हाँ अब तो ये ठीक लगती है लेकिन छोटी थी तो देखने में थोड़ी. Now in English, what this means is, she doesn't look bad now, but when she was younger, she was kind of hard to look at. For context, when I was younger, my front two teeth would stick out, and I couldn't wear contacts, so I had really thick glasses, but I was just as dark as this. And I do wonder what kind of person you have to be to say that about a 10-year-old girl. Colorism is so deeply entrenched here that people feel okay saying that to your face as if they're telling you that you have something stuck in your teeth. Years ago, this probably would have bothered me. And I really did want to cuss these ladies out, but I kind of just took a step away. I stepped outside just to take a breath, and I didn't want to make the whole kind of party about me because it was about my grandma celebrating her 80th. But if there's any other brown girls out there that are insecure about their skin color, anyone telling you that you are not enough or that you're not beautiful really just hates themselves. So to that I say, fuck the aunties. You do you, go out in the sun, wear white, because they're just projecting. And I wish little Karishma knew this, but you're kind of perfect just the way you are.
Okay, a lot of people were offended and confused when I corrected someone who called me black and said that I'm actually Asian. I want to clarify that this isn't coming from a place of superiority, avoiding association with blackness, or just thinking that there's something wrong with being black. It's because I'm literally not black. I'm South Indian. That has its own historical and cultural identity. And India being in Asia, specifically South Asia, makes me an Asian American woman. I don't go through life as a black woman. I don't deal with the same challenges and prejudices that the black community faces. So it would be disingenuous and inappropriate for me to call myself black or not correct someone when they call me black, even though I have dark skin too. This comment kind of ticked me off because I feel like it's invalidating a lot of races and ethnicities that exist outside of white and black, and we're valid.
Was there a point of time in your life when you thought that I need to bleach my skin or whiten my skin?
Yeah, I thought many times.
No, Indians were not supposed to be fairer. India receives more than 250 sunny days. So vitamin D is directly absorbed by skin, hence more melanin content, hence the darker skin.
There was time when I was a teenage girl, I could see people girls who were fairer than me, they were treated in a different way. You could see the school teachers or everyone as like, oh, she's so cute, she's so pretty. So that time we feel, okay, I want to be that person.
I've been bullied for my skin tone, and that too by my teachers. Yeah, one of my teacher bullied me. I mean, I was in class 3rd or 4th. I was just a child. I don't know that I have a dark tone and all.
My friends who are a little darker than me, they sometimes feel that, still that I should put tomato on my skin and this on my skin to become fair. So their self-confidence has been really affected.
Nobody hates Indian people more than other Indian people. You live abroad, you get called whitewash. You're from India, you get called a fob. You're too dark, you're too light, you're too religious, you're too modern. There's no winning, so I simply decide to vibe and tell people like this.
Okay, I can't be the only one. I just got off the phone with my mom, and this is after 10 years of not talking. We're just now FaceTiming here and there. And all she can tell me on the phone is different home remedies to lighten my skin or lighten the color of my lips and make them pink or lighten my eye color. Everything is to make me look lighter. And honestly, at one point, I got so angry and just lost it because this is ridiculous. It's 2023 and I'm not a kid anymore. And I used to cry about it as a kid. Not anymore. I'm finally in a good place where I'm happy with who I am.
So this Indian female, she's going to explain what happened, when she got divorced from an Indian guy and started dating a black male. She's going to let it be known that she got disowned basically by her mother. She needed to move back in with her parents, and the mother didn't want her to because she started dating a black male.
Okay, so story time. I do want to put a disclaimer. Please do not judge me. Please do not have any type of negativity to say about me as a person, as character. I have done the work. I have taken accountability. I have been going to therapy for 8 years and I haven't stopped. I am continuing to work on myself to be a better person. Did I mention that I have taken accountability? Okay. So I ended up getting a divorce. My mom was beside herself. She basically said that, you know, she was in a miserable marriage for 35 years and that I should too. I have to stay for the children. And it ended up not working out. So as I'm going through this divorce, I meet somebody, my current partner, and my mom finds out and she is livid. Livid to the point that when it was time to sell our marital home, I had asked my dad if I could move back into the house with the kids. He said yes, of course. So when I started to move my stuff back in, she immediately threw a fit and said, no, you're not moving back into this house. When I asked her why, she said it's because you're dating a black monkey, you're disgusting. That's when she called me the dirty prostitute. What made things worse was she did it in front of my kids, and I kept telling her to stop. She didn't listen. She kept going. And again, I'm telling her to stop. At this point, I'm rushing the kids to get home. Like, let's go. Let's put your shoes on. As I'm telling her, please stop. Don't say this in front of the kids. We can have a conversation about this later. And she just kept going. She ended up grabbing my oldest son's jacket and started shaking him and said, your mom is a prostitute. She's a dirty prostitute. And I went black. I ran across the room and we had a physical altercation that lasted about a minute and a half before my dad put me in a chokehold to remove myself off of her. I left her a mess. My kids are crying. They witnessed the whole thing. But I literally went black. I couldn't believe that she would say that to my son. And me being a mama bear, I just wanted to protect my kids. And she didn't respect my boundaries when I told her to stop. So that's what happened. I solidified then and there with her that she was never going to forgive me. She's never going to talk to me again. I think like 4 years afterwards, I thought like things would have settled down. I approached her again and I said, you know, can we have a conversation? And she's still like 4 years back. She hasn't healed. She hasn't gotten over it. And she basically said, as long as you're dating an African American man, I want nothing to do with you. And I really hope that he grapes your daughter. And that's when you'll know what true pain feels like. So ever since then, I have no desire to ever talk to her again. As far as me not bringing the kids around her, what's interesting is I married my mother, and so they became a dynamic duo. My ex brings the kids over to her for her to watch, to spite me, because I think for the first 5 years I did not bring the kids over there, and so the only way she saw them was through him, and they both did it to spite me. He still brings the kids over there. So even if I didn't bring the kids over there, when he has custody of the kids, they are over there. So that's my story. Yeah, so I have a good relationship with my dad. When I was going through my divorce, he was obviously very upset, very disappointed. At times he was very angry, but he got over it after a little while. He became very supportive of me. I talked about it in a couple of videos back, but I was saying how somebody can be a good person but not a good husband. My dad is one of those examples. My parents don't have a good marriage. I don't even think you could even call it a marriage, other than the fact that they live in the same house and they're legally married. That's the extent of their marriage. They do not speak to each other. They live very separate lives. They kind of come and go as they please. They live in a very patriarchal type household, so whatever my dad says goes. My mom really doesn't have an opinion, and even if she did, it would basically be shut down by my dad. I actually use that to my advantage when I need help with something, especially when it comes to the kids. My dad did meet my partner once when I was graduating, and they really didn't say anything to each other, and I kind of didn't introduce them. He saw that, he was taking pictures, my kids were with him, and at the end of graduation, my dad gave me money and said, here, make sure he eats something, take him out to eat. Excuse my lack of knowledge, but a lot of you have been writing something similar like this in my comments, and I really would like some clarification. Do you mean I'm Black Indian because of the color of my skin? Is it because you guys don't think that I'm Indian? I am 100% Indian. My parents are from a state in India called Kerala, so I'm southern part of India. I'm not exactly sure what Black Indian means. I'm guessing it's because it's the color of my skin, but please somebody clarify for me.